Amazing. Hi, Pranesh. Welcome to Quora for Business Thought Leadership Series.
Good morning, Neha. Pleasure to be here.
It's great to meet you today, and thank you so much for taking the time out. This initiative is essentially to understand from leaders on what are their thoughts of on the particular vertical that they spearhead. What are the marketing best practices? What are some takeaways for peers to look at? With that, I'd like to dive right into it. I have a very quick six kind of questions for you. You this will be a candid flow. So we'll love to understand your point of view on, the evolving market trend in the electric vehicle industry. What is your, point of view? So, the marketing landscape for electric vehicles has been changing dynamically, right? Can you share
Yep.
some insights on how it has evolved over time? And just to give everybody context, Pranesh heads marketing for Ather Energy. It is one of India's foremost electric vehicle brands, and we are very excited to have them on board, is because they are making strides in the EV space today. And we'd love for you to understand how they manage this market and what goes behind marketing of Ather today.
Thank you, Neha. Thanks for the introduction. Talking about the evolving market, how it has emerged in India, what we see today, we can easily say India has gone through prior to 2018 probably a rough phase in the EV industry. Why I say this? I think probably in the year 2007-8, a lot of brands, predominantly Chinese brands, came into the market with low-speed vehicles, low-quality vehicles, were put in the market, and consumers, the earlier adopters or the innovators that you call, some people tried it, right? And they started forming opinions saying that these are slow moving, fragile, not so great experience, probably some battery motor with two wheels and they're moving on the roads and all this stuff. Uh, there was also a phase when a few other stronger players came in the market in the earlier part of the last decade, around 12, 13. But again, they had the same similar kind of experience in the minds of consumer. In a matter of 10 years, what this just did was create a very negative perception about EVs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Today, even if you go to large parts of the country
Right.
where the EVs are penetrating, people still think the EVs are slow moving vehicles, fragile vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Ather came into picture, right? This company was founded in 2013, but we put our first product in 2018, right? It's a completely made in India product that we have today, which is a 450 platform. And this is entirely built on the performance narrative or a performance credentials, just to allay any barriers that people have on the electric two-wheelers today. If you talk
Okay.
about top speed, probably we're one of the first brands to offer 90 kilometers top speed, touchscreen dashboard equivalent to what you have on a car or a mobile phone on
Mm-hmm.
the scooter dashboard. Even today, even after 5 years, nobody's been able to replicate that. We're the only brand in the country or a world today where there is Google Maps on your dashboard. Right? You look at the kind of chassis we have built in. It's not a tubular. It's a aluminum chassis. A lot of experiences that we even built today. Example say auto hold. Example say emergency stop signal. All those things are being done after
Mm-hmm.
lots and lots and lots of deliberation. Right? Can we launch a feature every other day? Absolutely one. Can we show lengthy features? Absolutely one. But when we put out any feature in our product, we think about what is going to be the consumer experience, and therefore a
Right.
lot of deliberations happens even we put the product or the feature in the market on the scooter. How it's evolving now, I think why we largely believe that in all the how it started probably after 2018, that's what our experience is. The states which are higher GDP probably had the higher propensity to buy or try out new stuff. Therefore, the
Mm-hmm.
penetration of EVs were predominantly better in southern part of India,
Mm-hmm.
whereas in north it was not so great in the year 2018-19 because probably all the Chinese product had created a negative perception in the Delhi market. So even though
Right.
it's a big market, you didn't see the initial kickoff.
Right.
But largely all the southern markets where it started, and now it's percolating across the country. There are still pockets where
Mm-hmm.
people still doubt what an EV because of their experience or what they've heard of. But that's what we're trying to solve for when you look at how the category is emerging. So it's not a one size fits all kind of a marketing strategy that you need to when you need to look at in the EV category. example, say one mass media campaign may build in the brand awareness, but they may not allay the fears or the barriers consumers have in the mind. So marketing is also evolving for EV as we look at the category trends.
Yeah, it's very interesting to talk that you talked about the trends and the challenges, like how it has evolved over time. And I'm sure you're also pivoting with these challenges. Like the very biggest challenge that I think is you bursting the myth about the fact that it cannot run for that long, right? Like that's the first thing that people have always been worried about when they're buying their electric vehicle or their bikes, also EV bikes. So is this the in your marketing communication, do you see that there is a shift in the communication, the marketing strategy that you have that goes behind this? I'm sure there are numerous trends that are there, but what is that one trend that you have observed recently, and how you're trying to build your narrative around that? What is Ather's marketing strategy to address these evolving consumption patterns or creating awareness?
Yeah. Uh, See, if you look at the kind of barriers which consumers have today, they're largely the basic ones, right? Even today, lots of consumers in Bangalore will be worried about whether these are fast-moving vehicles, right? So therefore, only when you ride it, you are able to understand the kind of experience our products are going to offer.
Right.
What is the total cost of ownership? People are still worried about whether the battery will sustain. Example, say I bought a vehicle a couple of months back. When I
Mm-hmm.
went out for the first time, people asked, "Oh, it's a new vehicle. Do you need to change the battery every year?" Right? Example, the experience predominantly comes from the mobile phones, right? I said
Right.
no, because we offer an unconditional warranty for 5 years as a brand, right? So when you
That's
say
it.
5 years, even if the battery percentage drop below 70%, we call it as state of health. If the battery percentages fall below 70%, you would replace free of cost within 5 years. Now that if you look at the number of kilometers the consumers are riding today, it's
Right.
hardly about 28 to 30 kilometers, right? We offer a two range of 105 kilometers, while the IDC tested range is all about 145 kilometers. So 105 is what we promise and probably deliver, unlike any other brand in the country today. Right? When you say 105, it's 105. I think probably people are probably where people are coming from is the kind of word of mouth that they've heard for a long time now. It's saying that there's no range in the EVs. I think that myth is going to burst only when they see a lot of consumer experiences happening on the scooter, and also you start seeing more number of scooters on the roads. Right? So this is largely what I feel the barriers are, and how my marketing strategy will evolve. As I said before, I need to address certain barriers in, say, markets like Delhi, right?
Mm-hmm.
Delhi issue is on the cost, right? While they
Right.
say, okay, issue the cost, well, I look at a lower, uh, how much kilometer does a scooter give for a
Right.
price that I buy, right? Similar is the issue in the Gujarat market, right?
Right.
Northeast is a market, is a performance scooter market, but you would see the penetration of EVs low because there's no believability of EVs. So you need to build the category. Whereas in markets like Bangalore or Karnataka or even Tamil Nadu, there are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of three, four big brands who are really doing really well, right? In these markets, here it's
Right.
all about why should somebody buy an Ather? So therefore, you need to work
Mm.
on a lot on consideration set, right? Today we command premium in the market because we offer the kind of experiences which no other brands
Mm-hmm.
deliver. To deliver this kind of a message, you need to work on the consideration than on the awareness. So different markets, different challenges, and obviously digital plays a key role in this.
Got it. I think that's very interesting that you are, like most brands would, focusing in it from a regional perspective also, and identifying your target audience to effectively reach them. So I think what I understand from you is that you are more focused from creating consideration uh, against a traditional vehicle, right? Why should people opt for EVs? So if you were to put this in that perspective, can you shed some light on the unique challenges when it comes to buying a traditional vehicle versus an electric vehicle? What has been your marketing communication or strategy like? Just when you put that into perspective. Like you mentioned, I remember when you were talking, it's not about environment, it's not about sustainability. I love that you touch upon the fact that it's about energy, creation. So can you shed some light on that?
Sure. So two, 3 points here. One, uh, where do we operate in the consumer in the entire price bracket, right? when you look at the cheapest end of the product uh, uh, price, product and price, there are lot many brands who play there, right? But if you look at it, are you able to deliver the kind of experience we offer? No. And therefore, there is additional delta price that we command. There are numerous brands who compete on the low end, and probably even if you look at the mobile industry, not many brands have been successful to sustain the business and drive uh, the brand if you operate at the lowest end of the price point. There are a lot of competition there, very bad experience delivered, very quality being delivered, the bad quality being delivered there. So you need to look at what is the price value equation, and therefore, when you look at Ather, it's all about the product experience, right from say what we communicate, how you going to experience our product at the retail store, and how is the pitching happening at our retail store by our product specialists, and what has been the experience even after post purchase, right? So that's one thing that we are really clear of, saying that you're not going to be the cheapest brand because nobody succeeds, neither the customer nor the brand. Nobody succeeds there because today, uh, what we genuinely believe is that we're going to revolutionize the way people are going to look at scooters in the next 3 to 5 years. And Ather is actually pioneering the way consumers should look at the experience on scooter. We're going to probably entirely redefining what the category codes or category heuristics are. That's what we are working towards. Uh, the second part you spoke about the energy democratization, right? When we were into this journey of building EV in India, we also looked at what are the kind of ecosystem we're going to build around it. Today, we are the largest OEM for a fast charging network in India. Right? We have 1,500 plus fast charging grids across India. This is besides the charges we give along with the scooter and the Ather neighborhood charges we put in all the residential welfare associations or the flats. But if you look at 1,500 fast chargers were set up even before our product were penetrated largely in the market, right? Why did we do that? We didn't want the consumer to fight this chicken and battle whether I need to buy the scooter and then figure out what the charging is. Or charging system already exists, therefore I should go and buy an electric EV. So that's what we have solved for in terms of adoption. In terms of our other uh, issue that we had in terms of battery, in terms of software experiences, that largely we have solved.
Got it. I think what is really helpful is that you've set some context on what is the need of the market and how you went about addressing it, considering, charging is the first thing that comes to your mind when you own an EV, especially, given that people do want to traverse long journeys, right? Now coming to effectively using certain mediums in your marketing strategy, I'd love to understand, digital marketing, while we all know, has become an integral part of everybody's strategies across industries and verticals. How crucial is it for you at Ather Energy in your overall marketing strategy, considering even today people want to go and touch and feel the product that they're buying? The in-store experience is also important. So how do you add the entire digital marketing platform, to your communication to ensure that you get the footfalls in your store?
Yeah, sure. So let's start by giving the context to say how do consumers, what do consumers do before buying the EV? Typically, electric two-wheeler, the purchase cycle varies between 6 months to 1 year. Right? I'll just correlate with what happens in the traditional petrol scooters. There are largely three brands who play in this category. Right? While it's a high ticket purchase, still the kind of involvement people have while buying the petrol scooters are not much. Why I say this? Because largely two to three brands have made largely the perception of this is the best scooter to buy. Right? So therefore, there's not much of digital searches happening on all these three major brands in the petrol scooters.
Mm-hmm.
Probably people are buying our first time the repeat buyers. Usually they have gen 1 of a particular brand. They would have gone through gen 2, gen 3, gen 4, and most of the cases, even if it's a gen 6, they will be with the same brand because they don't want to give tension to the mind, and they go and buy a particular brand, right? If there have been instances where a consumer works to another brand store and asks for a scooter from other brand because the other brand is so well entrenched in consumers mind, right?
Right.
So while it's a high ticket purchase, in the petrol scooter, not much of high level research is happening because people know I need to put petrol, it'll run. I have to get serviced in about 6 months' time, I'll get it serviced. And they largely know the kind of 40 kilometers, 50 kilometers mileage that it gives. And they go and buy it, right? And as long as the brand is trustworthy, they've been in the market for last so many years. If you look at TVS, probably they were in the 1980s, they came into the market. If you look at Bajaj, they were 1940s. Hero came in probably around 1970 or 80, something like that. So largely people are aware of the brand. There's a trust built in, not much of what do you say, research that happens in the petrol scooter. But if you
Hmm.
look at the electric vehicles, it's exactly the opposite, right?
Hmm.
People would want to see what is electrical vehicle, what are the kind of range it offers, what are the charging network, what are the quality, what are the kind of experience, uh, how often do you need to charge the battery, how often do I even charge a battery, how do I charge the battery, right? Today our EVs can be plugged into any 5 amp socket and charged, but people even are not aware saying that I can charge the vehicle battery with just a 5 amp socket.
Hmm.
That's one. Second thing is, what is the bat? Do I need to replace the battery every year, 2 year, 3 years, which we spoke earlier? That myth also we need to kill it. When we talk about all these barriers, problem areas, along with why does Ather really stand out in the category, you need to have digital as a media to solve for each of those challenges. Right?
Hmm.
So therefore, social media as a content strategy really plays a big role for us uh, to break the myths or the barriers and get them to understand what we really stand for. And as a brand, obviously, you make investments in the ATL to drive those top level or a top of mind awareness. But largely, I think the game today is in the consideration funnel that we're looking at. Because if you look at the marketing, it's fairly easy for you to solve the top and probably bottom funnel as well. Why I say this? You know what you stand for, therefore you develop your communication for that.
Right.
You invest money behind it, you get the reach, awareness, and deliver the message, right? The large brand narrative that you can deliver. The bottom funnel, is fairly strong with the Facebook, Meta. You can work with lots of affiliates. You can work with lots of affiliates in the market who actually drive comparison of the products and all those stuff. So that's also largely drivable and also measurable.
Right.
What is really difficult is to control the narrative in the consideration phase, where people go and review for a long time a category and also a brand on the digital network, and that's where largely the digital effort or investment, even from the time perspective, is actually happening for us on the consideration on the
Interesting.
digital.
Interesting. I think what really helps is like, you mentioned listening to your customers and gathering insights, and therefore then, serving up content or conversation where you can get them to consider your product, right? So, customer feedback, what I understand is also will be a very significant part of your, company's direction. Is there any one such instance you want to share with us where you take, a customer feedback has reshaped your marketing strategy as such, given, there is so much of conversation around EVs in the last few years?
Yeah. Uh, so to get those customers feedback, what we do is the focus group discussions, where we look at different zones across the country and figure out what the challenges are on those countries, right? The second is we also have probably one of the strongest community in the category today in India, where it's easily about 1,30,000 plus community members who engage with us on a very meaningful basis.
Mhm.
Of course, this also form a platform where people to share their problems, but also problems which is already resolved being by the community members. Example, if a person A raises a complaint on the forum saying that I'm facing these issues, I don't know what to do. Even before we respond, there's already a community member who has already responded to that query and the issue is resolved. Right? That's how the strong network is, right? Even example say that issue is not resolved because example say today for anything that I do, if there's no how to videos, for example, right? How do you do reverse without swiping on a dashboard today? I can do it with the switches, but that can be I can create an how to video, but even before I do it, there's already a community member who is really engaged with us who has already answered those questions.
Right.
uh, the third part is you also speak to a lot of retailers to get the feedback. So with the consumers, you have interactions on the forum, you have interactions at the focus group discussions, you also look at the kind of social listening that happens within our on our platforms, where you figure out what the problems are. Right. Example, say today, let me take an example of the social media. Right. We used to communicate in a certain way on the features that we used to launch. uh, Largely, the way we started, we spoke to all an evolved audience, probably in places like Bangalore, Chennai, Tamil Nadu.
Mm-hmm.
But what we say, the tonality is not very well understood, or there's a confusion in the minds of consumer in terms of what we want to say on a particular feature or a particular solution that we have for the problem that the consumer faces. So my entire communication strategy on social media changes based on the kind of problems we observe in the market. Right? And there could be various problems. You asked for one example. I think there are a number of problems we can talk about. But we look at all these insights, right, from forum to focus group discussions to retailer feedbacks. We also visit our retail network store, interact with our consumers there. And then obviously there's social media, which gives me a real-time feedback in terms of where the challenges are and what we need to solve for.
Interesting. So I think since peer-to-peer conversation is so huge in your business, that how well does content marketing fit into all of it? Like you said that there's someone already creating content about your service or product even before you step in and answer. But I'm sure there must be, content marketing strategy that you also have in place. So probably some examples on content that you have created, how you have used content to promote your products, and what is the measurement metric for this particular content. I would love to understand that. How does it fit into your overall strategy?
Yeah. So when you look at content marketing strategy, while obviously the top one that really stands in our mind is the social media, and we choose the platforms where we really want to be strong, right? And what are the different narratives we want to drive? Example, say today I have a product launch. Probably I'll talk about a product launch. What are the kind of content I create? Uh, but once I launch the product, how do I drive the consideration? Therefore, what are the content pieces that I need to have on the social media to address those barriers, or even to drive awareness about that we have such kind of a feature benefit in our product, right? So that's on the social media. So second thing is, even within the social media, how do you look at your influencer strategy? So influencer strategy also forms a key part of our digital content marketing strategy, where we look at constantly engaging with the influencers who are really interested in the brand. So largely the influencer community works in a different way, but we are proud to say the influencer community that we work with are really vouching for the brand, vouching for the product that we put in, vouching for the experiences that we put in, even without we saying. A lot of people create content on the kind of experiences that the product delivers, right? So influencer happens to be the second one. The third is the what kind of narrative you're going to have on the listicles kind of stuff that happens for reviews. So that can be driven both either through affiliates as a promoted platform, or also through SEO, where you create the content basically addressing. You pick up 8 to 10 challenges every quarter and see what are the challenges I need to address at every level, whether it's a category adoption issue, or it's a brand consideration issue, or a brand preference issue. You look at segment it in these manner, and probably create content on these pillars, and then go about putting it on the network. And obviously, we believe that because it's on SEO platform, and therefore people are searching for these kind of content on online. Therefore, these content actually organically comes up, and therefore there's a brand preference driven through. The fourth part, no matter what you buy today, example, say today, if you want to go and buy a four-wheeler, where would you go to look at? For examples, yeah, obviously you'll go and check with your friends and families who have bought it, but there's also a place you go and check. Examples, say YouTube, right? You go and look at the reviews, right? Can we be honest about the reviews that our product offers, right? So we develop a product review strategy where people speak about a product. If there's an issue, we pick it up. If this organically happening, and we see how do we solve for those stuff. Yeah, these are largely the content marketing strategies that we follow for driving the consideration.
That's very helpful context. And you've been through the course of the interview talking about how consideration is a very important aspect for your communication plan. So Quora sits right between search and social, right? Where people are coming to the platform to understand and learn about from others' experiences. So given that it's a hub of knowledge where people seek expert advice or peer-to-peer experiences, how do you see this platform aligning with Ather Energy's values and vision? And if you were to today start a conversation on Quora, what are the kind of topics that you would pick to engage with your audience?
Yeah, sure. How do I view Quora? Right? So today, no matter how truthful you are as a brand, consumer just don't trust the branded content completely. Right? You take any brand in the world, when it comes from a brand handle, people won't trust it completely. That's where organic platforms come into play. Yes, every platform has opportunities to promote, but largely you look at it, Quora comes at the top when you look at the organic kind of information that is thrown to the consumer or pops up in the consumer's feed. Right? We focus on the product experience and the kind of conversations we need to have may not be just purely the marketing communication that we do around the launches or on the features. We are the largest R&D for an electric two-wheeler in the world today, right? And that based out of Bangalore, all developed by Indian engineers. Every feature we roll out is through after considering minute details in terms of consumer experience. Sometimes we feel your branded communication can't make justice to all the stuff that we look at from this lens, right? Therefore, to have a very meaningful, detailed, engaged discussion, we need to put out content which is a bit more detailed than what the other brand marketing communications will solve for. Quora as a platform probably will offer us uh, a lot of space, a lot of consumer mindset, where people come and actually read those content pieces and get engaged with us. The third part is while we put out the content, you start about engaging about what would be the topic which consumers or what would be the topic that I would choose to put it on Quora. Probably what should someone consider while buying a scooter today? Right? What are things that need to be careful about buying a scooter, irrespective of the category, whether it is petrol or a EV. EV is actually changing the entire category, and we will have lots to say about how the scooter as a category is, and largely how our EV is far far better than in terms of experience. What is there out in the market? For these kind of involved, high engaged decisions or high engaged conversations, we do want us to go out with the conversation, and we want consumers to come and contribute. Right? A lot of people I see on a lot of brand channels where people come and contribute about the experiences, whether it's positive or negative. Positive, you look at it and say how you dial it up, and it's negative. Obviously, you'll find a way to solve for it as soon as possible.
Absolutely. I think that's been quite an interesting take on how content marketing plays a very integral part in your marketing strategy and how Quora could step into this whole conversation and help you reach to your target audience. With that, I think we have almost reached the end of the interview. What I'd love to also, like probably as a sign off, if there was one, piece of this was awesome, Pranesh. What I'd love to, we are at the end of 2023, and if there are any marketing trends for 2024 that people should watch out for, we'd love to have your take on that also before we sign off.
Sure. So while it could be a given, but I would still say it's the artificial intelligence that I would say. We have started 2003 in a good way in terms of how marketers use this AI, but I think it's going to blow up in the year 2024. Why do I say this? I think generative AI for marketers is something really, really helpful. And especially if you're an emerging brand, generative AI could solve a lot of problems for us, and that too in a real time. Obviously at the data level you could use a lot of those intelligence coming in and how do you solve the marketing challenges, but I would feel generative AI is something that is going to be a big trend in the year 2024.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. I think this was a very, amazing conversation that I've had. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what more that Ather Energy does, because, like you rightly mentioned, this is India's first homegrown EV brand, and we are very excited about that. With that, I'd like to, just sign off on this interview. Just give me 1 second.